Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Arlene, and here is her story. I was a very happy mother of three when I met my soon-to-be ex-husband. He offered me everything I had wished for and more in the first few days. See, I always question, like, when it's this fast, everything in the first few days, you already had three kids? And this guy's coming along and within days? Not a good start. We became pregnant early on and married when our daughter was 2 years of age. It took 8 years, spending each day at his side behaving like a slave, to finally put the jigsaw pieces together to see the real horror that my soulmate was a malignant covert narc who, aided by a narc mother, had been systematically conning me out of everything I owned, cheating and slandering me throughout the relationship. I gained direct entry into university, which began 2 undeniable years of horrific abuse, financial and emotional, becoming progressively violent, before I found the strength to break free. However, my family has lost much in the process. Despite his attempts at sabotage, I graduated with honors in criminology with sociology this July, and I hope I can turn this traumatic experience into something positive and advocate for others. Not long into our relationship, my ex was throwing a tantrum about something he believed I had done wrong. We were out in the car and he was driving way too fast and dangerously. I had not known him long enough for us to be having this kind of argument, I was thinking to myself, and that's when you should have just realized this guy is a major red flag. Oh my God, this guy is loony. I yelled that he was going to kill us both. There was an immediate switch, and then he quickly reduced speed and said, "Don't be ridiculous. I would never do anything to hurt you. I love you." Mind you, you already had 3 children to worry about. And you're the guy you just met who's doing this? I instantly began to question myself, concluding that I had either done something wrong after all, or this guy genuinely loved me so very much that my actions had impacted on him more than I actually had accounted for this early in the relationship. I got to stop you right there. Okay? Because I'm seeing some red flags in your story already with you. Okay, because it seems like you're putting what you need in front of the needs of your children. Okay, and you're gaslighting yourself. This guy must just love me so much, and I'm so. Wait a minute. You just met him. You got 3 kids, and this guy's capable of just flipping out in a car and driving like he's gonna kill, whether your kids are in the car or not. You weren't thinking clearly from the beginning. And I got a feeling, just like, and you send me a bunch of audio that I'm not going to really be able to use, and I'll show you why at the end, because it's unintelligible, because you can't hear what's being said. Okay? But I have a feeling that, again, this guy's not your problem, that your problem is going to be something in the past. I'm no stranger to serious relationships. I have been married and raised children with my previous partner, but I could never recount the first time he told me I love you. However, this incident was one I could never forget. The final day I spent with my malignant, covert, narcissistic husband was equally as off the scale memorable. I looked directly into the eyes of my sister and said, "I'm either correct or he's actually going to kill me, or I've completely lost my mind and need professional help. Either way, I'm in danger." I see the humor now. I joke that the moment of realization was just like the final scene in Dallas. The narrator's eyes glow red, and it is crushingly clear that you have been in the presence of the devil all along. Being wide awake, yet having that feeling you're just coming out of a dream is unimaginable. Nothing adds up, nothing makes sense or seems coherent, and the entire world has just flipped at such speed that it is still revolving out of control. His intention was to get rid of me once and for all. He had been patiently planning his exit strategy all along. He tortured and humiliated me for hours while my children listened, terrified, all the while filming on his mobile phone with a smirk on his face, which I had not seen before. Again, you had an indication, second one, and now your children are exposed to this bullshit. And I'm sorry to say, because you put, and this is on you, you put your love life ahead of the needs of your children. The signs were right there. You had 3 children. You have a maternal instinct. You're in a car with some guy you just met, and he goes flying there to prove a point, and you don't run? Why? Why? And then you tell yourself because, oh, he just must love me so much? That's insane. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's wrong. And he filmed all this? Well, where's the film? I changed everything about myself from ground zero up the moment we met. It tortures me that I willingly offered myself up to be manipulated and played like a puppet the minute we met. The very first second. The following morning, I woke up in a strange house, not returned home to my young children for the first time since they were born. I allowed him to overstep my boundaries and invade my space on a massive scale. Yeah, you did. But he didn't, up to this point, it doesn't seem like there was some kind of master manipulation here. This is a choice you made the choice. Yeah, you allowed him, but that's your choice you made. You're making bad decisions from the get-go. I closed my door to friends when I had always operated an open door policy, living in a home which was busier than Grand Central Station. I changed from being the first person at a social gathering and the last person to leave to adhering to strict time limits on any visits outside, to adhering to strict time limits on any visits outside the house and permitted him to discipline my children. I generally avoid sick people like the plague, and yet I faithfully nursed him like a maid. My usual late-night chats with best friends as I tackled the boring household chores dried up, and I kept silent when I noticed that things he told me did not compute. Worst of all, I disregarded my common sense, agreed to act as grantor for credit, and accepted a marriage proposal when I was still married and had never so much as considered getting divorced beforehand, remarrying not being a priority in my future. So you were you were married and this is all going on? You know, there's some things you're telling me in here that's some real red flags again. Okay, like you have to be the first one at an event and the last one to leave. It seems like you don't want to, you're always looking to see if the grass is greener on the other side. And I know people like this. They're never satisfied. Is the grass greener? Is the grass greener? Is the grass greener on the other side? And this may be part of your own narcissism, unfortunately. And I find when people get caught like this, people like this will end up with controlling people. Okay? Because they feel that the control is somehow love. How you gaslighted yourself to tell you, oh, well, he just must really, really love me. And it's because you're truly empty inside. Because somebody else damaged you that you're not dealing with. Somebody else damaged you that you're not dealing with. Who in your past was the partier? Your mom, probably? I'm imagining your mother was a pretty big party girl, if I had to take a guess. Rather than discussing every little detail of my life with my gang, enjoying the wine-fueled analysis of each situation from all angles, I allowed aggressive behavior, sustained injury without telling a soul, and covered up the evidence of abuse, not calling it that even to myself. It's odd you describe it like, rather than discussing every little detail of my life with my enjoying wine-fueled analysis of each situation from all angles. You have this need to fill up every second of your life. You're always searching for the grass is greener, the grass is greener. It's not a little detail that you already had 3 kids and you were married. Now you... I ended up bankrupt and adorned with jewelry all made from cubic zirconia and silver. The week that my youngest child began school, I enrolled to complete my honors degree. On the first day, I ended up with a massive electric shock while feeding rabbits in the bunny shack, which my husband had rigged up. It did not occur to me that this could possibly have been a rabbit chewing through the live wire, or we would have known exactly which one had done so. A few weeks later, my eldest daughter returned from school and found 3 of our 4 rabbits had died. My husband described a horrific scene with blood and guts. We determined that only a fox could have done this. Recent discussions about the event had my children very confused. It turns out it was another lie. The dead rabbits were all lying peacefully on their backs as if they were asleep. I believe that this was supposed to be either punishment to me for doing my own thing and messing with the status quo, or to scare me into dropping my education goals. How so if you determine that a fox did it? I mean, if he said the rabbits died, he makes up a story just to embellish it or for whatever reason because he's an asshole. But how is that a threat if you guys determined a fox had done it? Where's the threat? Leaving was not an option. He would remove my makeup with dishwater to stop me from trying to get away. He read my phone messages, emails, followed my social media account, and accessed all private messages, meaning I was too scared to tell anyone what was happening. He would hide my bank card and my mobile phone, so if I managed to get out, I could not go anywhere or call for help. Alternatively, if I was in a state of undress, he would throw me outside and close the door to cause me maximum embarrassment. In front of the neighbors and nobody's calling anybody? You couldn't walk down to a police station and tell somebody what's going on? You couldn't go to a neighbor's house? In his possession are a few albums containing photographs of myself which were taken in the bedroom, and he threatened to show these off and then email them to my dad, specifically those taken after our daughter was born, which are the most unflattering. He's going to show what? Naked pictures of you to your dad? To do what? For what purpose? Just to embarrass you? But it's weird that, you point out that it's after your daughter's born and it matters what you look like, that they would be unflattering. Like, you don't see that you're a big part of your past is the problem here again. This is another situation where the asshole you're with is not your problem. Your past, again, is your problem. That is very, 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 very red flag inducing, that he's going to send some kind of pictures to your dad in the bedroom, and your thing is they're unflattering because they were taken after your daughter was born. Wow. Wow. It was a sharp learning curve. Isolating me was his main goal, which was successfully achieved. Left him free to control and abuse me further for entertainment purposes. It escalated to physical violence only after cutting me off from all family, close friends, and everyone I spent time with on a regular basis. I think I became too invested very quickly and knew I had brought it on myself. It was too much to uncover the reality of what was happening. I could have opened the letters which came through the door when he was out. I could have made unannounced visits to his extended family members for coffee or insisted I accompany him on trips to collect his child from his first wife. I could have saved myself 10 years of being devalued and torn down strip by strip if I had listened to my gut feeling, which told me something was off on day one. In hindsight, his motives were almost always for financial gain, and he felt he should be entitled to use money from my children's saving account, becoming aggressive when I denied his request. He borrowed money from the kids all the time but never paid it back. He concocted tall tales about loan sharks being after him to explain why hundreds of pounds each week went amiss. And when the police left on the morning of Sunday 9th October, he had taken my bank card and removed every penny he could from my account, including my due rent. The final insult was telling everyone he had just paid 3 months' rent in advance for me and asked for financial help. The children and I had £3. I was always led to believe that his first wife had only been interested in his money, and no matter how hard he worked, he had been unable to satisfy her outrageous requests. This ensured I did not open my mouth or comment when he used myself and my family as an ATM, and never became angry when he took extended breaks from work, putting nothing into the household. I discovered he was using drugs on a frequent basis. I learned to tell when he was high when he did not eat. I read his court defenses. Court defenses? Like, I mean, you have children. I mean, it's one red flag after another with this guy. These claim I have an eating disorder. Oh, for the divorce. These claim I have an eating disorder, and he was forced to hide food to sidestep my outburst, and this caused his distress and anxiety. Referencing one perfectly ordinary Sunday. Pizzas had been ordered for dinner as myself and my son were busied all afternoon and evening. On a leaflet drop around town for a local cleaning service. Pizza slices were discovered inside cushion covers during a not so interesting scene in an after-school television schedule. As I was not at home, there was no logical reason to store pizza in a sofa cushion cover. He will no doubt be ensuring his unsuspecting new victim does not question his pattern and uncover the extent of his addiction. There was never any money for the family kitty. Every payday was accompanied by a sorry, insisting that next week any debt would be paid in full and he would give me the control of the finances from then on. Next week. Years passed and he was still promising. He would open new accounts and there was always some excuse about a cash card not arriving, or he needed a card reader to transfer funds. When I uncovered that these were only required for the first time a funds transfer was made to an account, he hit the roof, assuming I had opened the statement and seen the account was entirely empty. I had not. Nevertheless, he spent days calling me a liar for denying having opened his mail. I was subjected to a torrent of insults and accused of pretending to be all sweet-scented, but had revealed my true self to be sneaky and deceptive. Caught in a lie, it would always be my fault for making him do it. He would claim to be sorry and guilt-ridden at his behavior. This lasts all of 5 minutes, and then he would punish me mercilessly for months at having shown anger towards him or dared to tell some of his actions. One event scared me more than anything else. He did not pick me up from a concert and told me our youngest was sick. This was a red flag, as he had spent countless years calling me home from nights out by claiming one of the kids were ill. The next morning, one bleary-eyed child commented that he had been awakened at 4 a.m. as Daddy was playing PlayStation. Lying narc claimed that he was only up as our daughter was coughing and he had been sitting by her bedside. Even better, that had been the noise which had woken her brother in the early hours. Wait a minute. But it's 4 a.m. and you're out with your friends? See, here's the thing, what I'm trying to tell you about you. I mean, you got 3 kids, you're leaving them with this psychopath, and you're going out with your friends. I think you're just as much responsible for all this as he is. You've made some really bad decisions. Although neither of them remembered those events and our daughter was clearly well, they both immediately accepted their dad's version of events without question. It was that easy. I often reflect that the smear campaign has been the most traumatic and psychologically damaging aspect of the abuse. The lack of trust I have been left with is now deeply ingrained, and it appears that everyone is devious and holds cruel intentions. We have been shunned by all his family and friends, some of whom began as members of my own social circle. They refuse to acknowledge any evidence which contradicts his assertions. Certain people are so skilled at this job, they are most likely acting as flying monkeys against other partners he had before I ever came along. His mother is undeniably an overt narcissist. She may even be the queen vampire of narcissists, but do not consider that to mean anything sinister, because there is no underlying message. Nope, none. While he is primarily covert, I would do anything to observe an interaction between the two of them when in private. They appear to get a huge amount of supply from each other. Interestingly, both good and bad in equal measure. They both have a tenuous grip on reality and are too willing to go along with whatever fantastic tale the other is told, regardless how illogical. She is integral in furthering his agenda by spreading the poisonous parables far and wide, whatever the true circumstances may be. I suspect this is purely gut instinct that my ex was assigned the victim status by a madwoman who designated her sons to various roles which she identified would provide her the greatest amount of supply. My ex seems to ignite maternal instincts in everyone, apart from his mother. It must be impossible for anyone to make the crossover from viewing that sweet, vulnerable person as the terrifying abuser I have seen. He was out of work while I was entering my 4th year at university, living off a merged student loan and working ad hoc on research projects. He told his mother he was not working through stress and shouldering the financial burden for the entire household. Not only did she repeat this claim to others as confirmed factual, but she messaged him advising that he should quit wrapping me up in cotton wool and let me take my share of responsibility for a change. It was all me. Every bit. Cleaning the house, keeping track of, paying the bills, taking care of the children, and helping with their homework. In what universe could a person bring in zero income plus running a car be able to support his family financially? He left me when my funds ran dry and returned Monday morning. I called and pleaded with him to give me money for my bus fare to university. I was met with a retort that if he could get up for work on time, every day, then I should not be so lazy. My eldest son needed to speak with him and went where he was currently living at his mom's. He was not there at the time. Granny informed my son that he would be back very soon, as he was never out late when he had work the following day. There are no words. Mother Dearest has been the chief contributor to his social media sympathy-seeking smear campaign. As they live in the same house, it could be reasonably expected that genuine expressions of love and support would be delivered in person and not sent from her Facebook account while sitting in the next room. There is no honor amongst thieves, though, or in this case, in narcs, and they turn on each other in the drop of a hat. He almost succeeded in pushing me over the edge. It is all textbook. He distracted me from ever finishing a sentence by clicking his fingers loudly. He used word salad, which would confuse me and prevent me from remembering the real point of any argument. He made me defend myself by casting up apparent transgressions from years ago so that no interaction would ever circle back to whatever wrong he had just committed, and he refused to hear anything I needed to say. The frustration was unbearable. He always looked depressed when we bumped into anyone we knew. Even if we had just begun having fun. He told me that this was because he could not be bothered engaging with anyone. He had been telling them how awful our marriage was. He claimed to be a private person and refused to allow me to put details of our life on social media. This was to control the narrative and ensure that my updates would not conflict the image he was portraying behind my back. He now has more selfies on Facebook than anyone I have ever met, and dating profiles all over the internet. As an autism parent, I can confirm the saying, if you have met one person with autism, you have met one person with autism. Conversely, narcissistic personality disorder is so pattern specific that anyone could predict behaviors once they're familiar with the characteristics. It frustrates me that it is so misunderstood. I would try to explain it, but I could hear myself coming across as neurotic, each new piece of the puzzle sounding more and more crazy. It is akin to offering proof by way of psychic ability. I can almost make allowances for those flying monkeys who have actively enabled him to continue employing control and fear tactics, even after I went no contact. How could anyone who has no education in NPD and has probably never heard of disorder pick up the deception or see a smear campaign for what it is? Covert narcissists are adept at playing the victim, and no one executes the role with more conviction. The most unfathomable part is that he was protected by law enforcement the whole way through his domestic assault charge. Police refused to collect evidence or interview my grown-up children who had witnessed his violence and domination of myself and our household. Even when the trial was part heard, then put off for 8 weeks to collect further evidence, when I spoke up on the stand and let the judge know that I had been told the officers would seek confirmation that our sworn affidavits would be submitted to the prosecutorial fiscal, and instead informed the police protection unit that they should sign me off. This cut off my children's access to the 12-week program for children who have witnessed domestic violence in the home. We have been failed by every department, every public service employee, and every piece of Scottish legislation. However, we are no longer in fear and determined to make something positive out of our horrific experience. I would be lying if I claimed that I had reached that happy place I once took for granted. You're nowhere near a happy place because you don't even know why any of this has happened. This is so insane to read because it's just so obvious and out there, you know. I'm still vulnerable to triggers and continue to mourn the time when I was 100% secure of my future and content with my situation, accepting that nothing is perfect, but he was perfect for me. How? How is he perfect? Ever. 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 I also grieve for my gorgeous girl and know that her bubble of innocence has already been burst. Growing up, supported by 2 adoring parents, I assumed it was just a given. I assumed was just a given, a birthright. I did not have any faith that I could ever slow the feeling of spinning out of control or believe that there would be a day without being crushed by sadness. One thing I know for sure is that if I had remained in my orbit, he would have killed me, or I would have killed myself. I often wonder if that loose connection to reality is what these soulless monsters experience daily. The shock and disbelief made me doubt my own memory and question my sanity. Nonetheless, I can accept the reality of the situation and finally acknowledge that I was systematically conned. Yeah, but you wanted to be conned. You went along. Listen, it's kind of hard to believe you're systematically conned, okay, when you're stepping out on your first husband with this guy in a couple days, and he immediately shows you he's violent, and you have 3 kids already, and your maternal instinct doesn't. You weren't conned. You went along with it. The reason is the point of this is why. He's not your problem. You didn't the narcissist didn't con you. You went along with it. I have reframed the relationship logically in my head, and analyzing each stage from this different perspective can see how icky the whole debacle was. That icky feeling has taken over any hope or heartache. I am re-engaging with friends and family who are helping me find my bearings again. I intend to rediscover who I really am, praying that this will not turn out to be a disappointment. I am free to pursue my passions and set my own goals. There is wealth and possibilities to explore, unhindered, and that is the best part. As a malignant, covert narcissist, my abuser has no such options. He will remain this empty shell, condemned to repeat this pattern of behavior again and again. It is he who has no real past, no real present, and no real future. Arlene Cargill. Now, let me just play the audio you sent me, and you'll see why it's not you. The accents make it really hard. I have a hard time understanding, and I think this was recorded on a bad laptop mic with the background noise louder than the foreground because it's all tinned out.
You know leaving the girl, huh?
Why not?
Because you don't. You've always been ugly bastard. That's when you would say fuck all.
I can't understand any of this. See, all the background noise is picked up, and then the foreground noise is in a tunnel, and that's because you had your settings messed up. I think you probably did that on a laptop mic, and they're the worst types of mics to use. Look, Arlene, this is not to pick on you, okay? But you got a lot of work to do on yourself here, okay? There is a reason why you allowed all this to happen. Now, you left something in the little tidbit in the end where you said you had this perfect upbringing. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. What is it about you that would allow you to put your children in danger and tell yourself, oh, he's only acting like this because he must love me so much? That's putting your own needs before your children's, and that's what you did there. And that's what you continued to do the entire time. Why? When he's throwing you out, he's taking your car, he's taking your money, he's throwing you out of the house naked, like, with no clothes on, nobody's calling. I don't understand that. He's not your problem. And look, I'm not, because this is written like it's a story, like it's a novel, like it's going to be some kind of research paper. Okay? And if it is, it is. That's fine. But you have to understand here, okay, the role you played in all of this. That this guy, again, this is another example, this guy is not your problem. This is about you. This is something, whoever damaged you in your past is your problem. What led you to do all of this? What is it that leads you to, the drinking with the friends at 4 a.m? Listen, if he's lying, telling you the kids are sick to get you to come home at 4 a.m, I don't know. I have a little hard, that's a hard one to have sympathy for. You got to be able, and that might be hard to do, to look in the mirror at yourself. But again, this guy isn't some kind of master manipulator, love bomber. This is another one. He's not. He's not. He's trying to scare you in the car within, the first month? You're saying it's too soon and you already got 3 kids? No. So, this will happen to you again, Arlene, until you take an honest look at your past and accept that you're damaged. Okay, and the other thing that really bothered me was the thing with the father, that you were worried about. There were unflattering pictures that he was going to. You are a flashing beacon of red alert, Arlene, red alert. He's not your problem. Your past was. So I'm sorry I couldn't really use the audio. Again, it's just not usable. And I'm sure you've been through a lot with this guy. If I could hear by the yelling on it, I mean, but you got to be able to accept, like, look, this guy isn't a master manipulator, and this guy was never my problem. Never my problem. My problem's in my past. So I hope that helps. I hope this helps. So thank you for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it growing, supported, and surviving, because this channel lasts 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.